And I think we may be live. Hey, y'all. Apologies once again for a delayed stream today. I was really convinced today that 5:30 was going to be the ideal time. But life happens, things happen, it's summertime, I'm trying to be a little more go with the flow, and since I didn't do too much promotion for today's stream, I sincerely apologize that it's been pushed to now 7 o'clock, a little bit past that even. Is it really an above the line stream if I don't have a proper time for it? I really want to get this to a point where I've kind of got it down to a science, but for now, you'll have to forgive me. Today, though, I have 3 really interesting stories that I am excited to talk to you all about. And I wanted to send a big shout out to my friend Nick in the chat, who has been sick all week. Nick, I'm so sorry you're under the weather. But I greatly appreciate you being here regardless. Thank you for always showing up for the Above the Line and being its biggest supporter. Truthfully, you are always asking me to do this or giving me ideas for stories for this. So I greatly appreciate you, my friend. And thank you to all of you who are watching live. Let's get into our first story before I kind of lose my momentum here. So our first story, all of today's stories are linked down below. I have been really bad about going back and timestamping it, but tonight I've got some YouTube stuff on my agenda to get done, so maybe that will be part of it. Also, other updates. Today, I've been watching a lot of Succession, so that's kind of been on my mind. No spoilers, please and thank you. And then by the end of today, someone remind me in the chat, if you're still here at the end, remind me to go over my Indiana Jones review, my mini Flash review. We're just going to do it here quick and easy since I don't have that many stories for today. So our first story of today, all the stories are again linked down below. Today they're all from the Hollywood Reporter because that is my trade paper of choice. I am not a variety gal. I'm a Hollywood Reporter gal through and through. And these were some of the most eye-catching stories that either I was one of these I was following throughout the week a little bit, and the rest were ones that I just thought were kind of interesting and things I just thought might be fun to update you guys about or talk about. So first story of today is the fact that Simu Liu, the star, of course, of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which premiered in 2021, so almost 2 years ago now, it premiered. He's talking about how the sequel keeps getting delayed due to factors beyond his control. Now, in the Hollywood Reporter piece about this, Simu seems to have made comments about he was told that it was to follow the newest Avengers film. Now, these are comments he made on Threads, which is, of course, the Instagram competitor or Instagram Meta Facebook competitor, since it's all one company, to Twitter. I've yet to join it. Let me know your thoughts if you have. That's obviously like a big news story in general, not entertainment necessarily based, but a big story. Oh my, big story this week. So if you have thoughts on Threads, if you like it in comparison to Twitter, because I've kind of been like, I don't know, Twitter just makes me feel bad. It's great for news stuff, and getting like quick updates on things like D23 and whatever, but not a fan in general of Twitter for the most part. It just seems to be like a really negative place every time I go on, even in like a film community. However, in this article, on Threads, Simu was talking about the fact that he was told that the Shang-Chi sequel, which was announced a while ago, actually, was almost immediately, they were like, we're going to have a 10 Ring series, which these aren't major spoilers, but like his sister in the movie was supposed to have her own TV show on Disney Plus or return. The 10 Rings were supposed to return. Shang-Chi was supposed to return. Like, all of this was sort of announced a while ago, and yet no update. Absolutely no update, despite this film being a success, fans really enjoying it, all that kind of stuff. No news out of this, other than, of course, it was supposed to be following the next Avengers, which kind of makes sense. Like, it was very unlikely that movies would kind of, in a phase, people would get their own like multiple sequels, or they'd be introduced and then have a sequel like before a team-up movie. Doesn't necessarily seem like that's what Marvel's wanting to do. The one difference is, like, instead of starting in 2008 and going to 2012 and having movies, like, this movie will have already been out for 2 years, and we're not going to get the new Avengers film in 2 years because, as has been announced, the next 2 Avengers films, Avengers Kang Dynasty and then Avengers Secret War, which were supposed to be 2025 and 2026 releases, have both been pushed a year. So Avengers Kang Dynasty, which was supposed to come first, has been pushed to May 1st, 2026 as a tentative release date. We've also heard that Avengers Secret Wars has been pushed to May 7th, 2027. So both of these being pushed a year, making like an inevitable Shang-Chi sequel. The earliest we would see it would maybe be fall of 2027. So that's 4 years from now. So that's 6 years since the original came out, which is pretty wild. That's pretty crazy. Of course, a lot of this is kind of speculated to be about the alleged assault, or the assault charges and alleged assault surrounding Jonathan Majors, which again, don't want to get super into that kind of stuff. I'm sure everyone who probably watches me is aware of those kind of issues going on, and we don't need to dive deep into them here. We've done that in the past, but it's unfortunate because we keep seeing Marvel projects be delayed, and some of them I kind of wish would get dropped. Like, I think there's still been a ton of Disney Plus shows that have been announced that haven't gotten like a firm like cancellation, and it just seems like a shame to, I don't know, like come up with brand new characters and give them a TV show when we have a character that's existing that we love, like Shang-Chi, that's played by someone as charismatic and beloved as Simu Liu. And it seems like such a shame to push that so long for fans to not really get to dive deep. And I think that's the issue with the MCU being as bloated as it currently is you're not able to swiftly react to fans' reactions. Like, Guardians movies kind of followed in pretty quick succession of one another. Like, from Guardians to Infinity War was, I believe, only 5 years. And the Guardians had 2 films in that time and then appeared in Infinity War. So technically like 3 appearances. And Shang-Chi, we haven't gotten a second appearance. And so what seems like a shame is we still have characters that are probably going to play important roles in these 2 Avengers movies that are not going to... What am I trying to say? We probably still have key characters, a part of these future Avengers movies that we're not going to meet for a year or so. And for that to be the case when there's characters that have yet to get a sequel, it just feels wrong. And then, of course, to make everything worse in terms of delays, the Writers Guild of America strike is still ongoing, as you all know, and therefore Thunderbolts and Blade have been pushed. I mean, the Marvels, which was supposed to come out in August next month, is now coming out later this year, sometime in the fall. And yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer in my opinion, because I think when you were dealing with a smaller team of Avengers, the OG6, right? Like, not all of them had their own feature before the first Avengers movie. Iron Man had 2 films, but like, you got to know the characters that were going to play an important role. You got to know them better. You got to spend more time with them, even in phase 2. I think that that's true. And so it's just a little disappointing to see things get delayed. The one thing I won't probably talk about today is I have yet to watch the 3rd episode of Secret Invasion this week. If you've been following my Instagram, if you've been following my Instagram or my Instagram stories, you would know that I have been on like a 48-hour like Succession absolute binge, just like absolutely focused on it. And it's all I can think about and the only media that I have been consuming over the last weekend. And so I haven't gotten around to that. I don't know if maybe Shang-Chi. I don't know if maybe Simu's performance in Barbie, or kind of his like more of his roles being popular, if that will start to put pressure on getting a sequel out for Shang-Chi. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I've seen a lot of thoughts here in the chat, so let's get over there. And of course, if you would like to read the Hollywood Reporter article about Shang-Chi, a delayed sequel, the delaying of the rest of the Marvel slate as we know it, by all means, go read that. It should be linked down below. So let's see what we've got here. Going over to the chat. Eric the Red checked out Joyride and you enjoyed it. That's great to know. I saw that Stephanie, I can't remember her last name, but she's the daughter in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I saw that she was in it. So that's super awesome that you enjoyed the film. You watched Nimona and you thought it was good. Somebody else, Francis, said, I watched Nimona too. You said it was very progressive. Marvel introduced so many new heroes and they slowed production. sorry, something's going on with my mouse. To the point that the sequels and series feel like they're never coming out. Exactly. Like, I think this is the problem with, like, we're announcing this and this and this and this, and having, like, the universe not feel as controlled and streamlined. Like, it's a beautiful thing. I think that the MCU has grown as far as it has. Like, I love it. I really do. But the fact that we're now running into a situation where we may not see, like, like Shang-Chi coming out in 2021, like, it may be till the end of the 2020s before we get a sequel. That just feels wrong to me for how great of a character this is. And I'm not saying that, like, that's the case, like, I don't know, but then I also feel like there's characters like She-Hulk that I worry about, or mainly She-Hulk, honestly, a character I really liked being completely, like, abandoned because it doesn't appeal to maybe the broader MCU fan base, and or the fact that the reception to the show wasn't as well, like, I don't know, like, is that just gonna get abandoned because it doesn't feel like it fits? Like, Shang-Chi feels like a character that should be at the forefront. Like, Shang-Chi's finale, the climax of the film, felt almost borderline Avengers level of threat. Also, like, hate to say it, but, like, Eternals, as much as I didn't like it, I wanted to see how that was going to be roped into the universe. I really thought that was going to be touched on in Thor Love and Thunder, or a couple of the other I don't know, like Guardians of the Galaxy or Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and nope, no. There's like a couple of tweets or Instagram posts that have been going around that are like, these are all the unexplained, unaddressed things going on in the MCU. I don't know, I feel conflicted when you announce new things now, because I know it means that I'm not getting something else. And I'm wondering, is somebody actually looking at this with a critical eye now and saying, yes, this, no, this, sorry, we just have to prioritize and make time for it. And so that's just a little frustrating. There's a theory, Otto says there's a theory that Shang-Chi might appear in Captain America Brave New World. See, now that would be pretty cool. I would love that. And I know, like, I feel like he'd be a great character to, like, pop up, start developing some of these relationships with the other Avengers. I mean, he's already been introduced to Wong. In that post-credit scenes, he's hypothetically introduced to Bruce and Captain Marvel. Again, key members of what I imagine are a head Avengers team. And so, like, but I just want that developed. Like, I don't want post-credit scenes that are, there's two ways to look at this. You either start planning for things that are 5 years down the line or 2 years down the line that are, like, really important and monumental, or you literally just, like, clue to the next movie and don't announce as much going forward. Like, those are the things that I feel like Marvel is just like, what are they doing? I feel like right now we're in a period that for a movie studio that I have come to love and trust and appreciate, I feel like we're throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And then we're coming up with a plan. And I don't like that. Even if it's stuff that people don't like in general, or that I don't like, stick with it. Like, I personally kind of have doubts that we will ever see anything come from Moon Knight, which is disappointing because the concept of that show was cool. And again, if something is presented to me, like a TV show or a movie, and I don't necessarily love it, but you're telling me that we're going there somewhere with it, and, like, to be patient and to appreciate for what it is, I can get on board. But Marvel has yet to do that. And all of these roadmaps and things just getting pushed further down the pipeline, I understand that some of these things are not in their control, and I understand that they don't want to put a ton of actors and people on the hook when potentially their big bad might be facing real big bad consequences in real life. I understand that. I understand that they have a responsibility as a studio, not only to the talent and the actors, but also to all of the crew and people that work to make these films possible. But at the end of the day, we need a plan. And if the plan is just, here's your 7 movies that you know about, there's 7 that you don't know about, and they're all just being delayed a year because of the writer's strike, fine. I get it. However, it just feels like we're not slowing down at the times that we should. And that's all I have to say about that. Eric is really enjoying Secret Invasion. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes, but again, was not desperate to watch the third. And also, I'm kind of shocked that although I did find it interesting to see some of those, scroll, live news things or things pop up on ABC to, question, like, was that a scroll? Did I really see that properly? I thought that was like a clever marketing campaign, but it also feels like blink and you miss it, and like people don't pay attention that much. And so I'm a little disappointed that, like, I feel like the show should be getting more marketing. Like, it should be getting traditional marketing as well as the clever marketing. Or it should have been getting more clever marketing for longer. It feels like that's only been happening since the show has been out, which is a little disappointing. Let's see. Nick says, Shang-Chi is my hardest rated movie other than Guardians 3 post Endgame. Like, it's a beloved movie. It was a really great character introduction. I think everyone really enjoyed it, and Simu clearly has like a lot of charisma and like the Marvel almost like stamp of what they need. And so it's just disappointing. Like, that shouldn't, I would hope that that's not going to be put to waste. I hope that he's just saying, like, I don't know anything about a sequel, and hopefully there's some type of cameo planned. But again, I don't want it to be a wasteful cameo. I don't mean to come across as critical to Marvel, guys. I just, as a fan, there are times when I question, like, what direction are we headed in? Where are we going? What's going on? Jeremiah says, after She-Hulk, sorry, Sasha, didn't love it. Totally fine. That's your choice. Everyone should be able to love what they love in terms of a television. Secret Invasion is a huge step up. It's exciting, suspenseful, well acted, all the things. That is great, Jeremiah, and I will be sure to let you guys know what I think of the third episode whenever I get around to it. It'll probably be soon. I just don't have the thoughts on it right now. Otto said, I thought Moon Knight or some of Eternals appeal. I thought Moon Knight or some of the Eternals, I think you were trying to say appeared in Thor Love and Thunder because of the God storyline and how they're connected to it. But none of them were like named or brought up or like there. You know what I'm saying? Like there wasn't a true like plot line or through line there. Francis says there's a lack of consistency with the MCU that delays ultimately don't matter or are to be expected, especially with the current box office flops. As also fatigue that's been forming for a while. I think the one thing is just, I keep going back to Guardians 3. Guardians 3 did great in the box office, killed it, did wonderful. People universally liked that movie. For the most part. I'm not trying to like pin anybody. I don't want anybody piping up being like, well, I didn't actually like it. That's fine. But like, I think that was like a showing that a good film is going to overdo, like it'll cancel out fatigue or whatever. And so I'm just a little, I totally get what you're saying. I just think I think with delays, I would understand if they were like, hey, we're gonna relook at our slate and change some things. That would be fine. But I feel like it's just like, let's just keep our heads in the sand and like hope we like get to a like calmer waters sort of thing. Okay, Jamie is saying that the actor strike is starting on Thursday. Delays will only get worse. I did not read anything about this, but I knew this was sort of imminent or suspected to happen. Yep, here we go. We have a deadline article. So impromptu story. Thank you, K. Jamie. That says SAG-AFTRA is preparing picket signs as possible strike looms. As of Friday, the guild was saying if the strike becomes necessary, we are ready. Which, as you said, K. Jamie, this is only going to make everything worse. If you have no writers, people can probably find a way around it. But it's going to be a pretty big problem if you don't have writers or actors, which means our world is going to be taken over very quickly with reality television, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I love myself some reality TV. But it's going to be coming, and it's going to be probably messy and crazy for a good period of time. Francis said the appeal of the genre is starting to become questionable, especially with a franchise such as the MCU that has no roadmap despite what's being built. But that's what I'm saying is like the appeal of the genre is either like a really good popcorn movie and a movie that you just want to see and appreciate the spectacle of it, or it's having the roadmap. And the problem is if you lose either or both, which I think is what you're arguing, you find yourself in trouble. Jeremiah said, why is my mouse doing this? For me, Spider-Man No Way Home is the best post-Endgame film, though. I do love Shang-Chi. It had the emotional weight while still being very much a comic book movie and, of course, great fan service. Wonderful. Moon Knight has to come because they're definitely bringing us Midnight Suns. This is why they're making plans already for Doctor Strange 3. But, like, why... I don't mean to be rude to Stephen Strange, but, like, why do we need a third Doctor Strange movie before we even get, like, a second for some of these other people that arguably I care about a little bit more? Multiverse of Madness, like, wasn't, like, my favorite thing in the world. So, anyways. Okay. We have another Marvel story. So, save your Marvel thoughts. Let's get to the second Marvel story. Now, this is something, again, like, if you disagree and you have different opinions about superhero genre, the superhero fatigue, you are by all means entitled to that always. Like, this is all subjective. It's not, like, killing the fate of our world. It's not changing things. I just love this stuff, so I'm never going to stop talking about it. But our next story is, again, just when you think I'm out, they pull me back in. Just when I'm like, oh, no Shang-Chi 2 for a long time, that makes me sad and upset. They say, oh, Jennifer Garner's coming back as Elektra in Deadpool 3. This was a just out of nowhere story that I did not expect this week. Totally random. Immediately when I hear about something like this, I'm like, did they need to announce this? Did they need to do this? Could they not have kept this a secret? That's how I felt about the Professor X, especially because I had not seen any leaks about Professor X being a part of Multiverse of Madness until the trailer came out at the Super Bowl. And it was a little like, why did you just announce this? So those are my brief thoughts on it. However, I was excited about this because recently, I don't want to say I watched it because I kind of wanted to make like a video reacting to it for a while, but it kind of just went away. But Daredevil 2003, starring Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. Ben Affleck, of course, played Daredevil. And then we had Jon Favreau playing Happy, classic. We have Jennifer Garner playing Elektra. And I was kind of excited because the one thing that I kind of love is the MCU connecting to things that are like pre-MCU, i.e., the Spider-Men, bringing back Tobey and Andrew. It feels like rather than saying like, those old things, they're garbage, like we don't talk about those things. Instead of being like that, it kind of embraces stuff that wasn't necessarily getting closure, that's from like a different time of superhero genres, but that were like appreciated at least by somebody at the time or people who might appreciate the reference back. And so I love something like that. Sean Levy is the director for Deadpool 3. And of course, we have Ryan Reynolds. We have Hugh Jackman already announced to be back as Wolverine. And this is where I think, did they need to announce this? Did they need to announce it because everybody was already... First of all, it's Deadpool 3. The first two, fantastic films, like such good movies. So like, did you need to announce this? Maybe not. But second, like beyond just being a Deadpool film, like we already got the massive announcement last year that sent the internet absolutely haywire of Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine for Deadpool 3. Like, and now I feel like it feels like a little wasteful when this could have been something that I feel like could have been kept such a secret because no one would have speculated this. Despite that fact, it's been announced. So here's what the Hollywood Reporter piece has to say. Quote, her involvement in Deadpool 3 hints at some sort of multiverse angle to the film that has long been rumored, and it could be possible that other characters from Marvel films made by Fox could pop up. But this being Deadpool, one can't rule out some meta self-awareness either. I feel like there's like two ways you could go with this. Is this going to be like a Evan Peters as Quicksilver, or I don't even remember his name, the thing that caused everyone to be like up in an uproar about him being a part of WandaVision. Is it going to be that, like a Quicksilver fake out? Or is it like going to be played for kind of a semi-serious thing? I don't know. I just wanted to talk about this because it was just crazy that it was announced and I'm sort of excited about it. I don't want to say I'm sort of excited about it. I'm definitely excited about it. I'm just confused why and why it was announced. The why it was announced thing is the part that is just getting to me. Because the more and more I think about it, I'm like, this just really didn't make sense. Like, this film had enough going for it. That you didn't need to announce this. However, if this is going to be a way into bringing the X-Men into kind of, like this article is discussing, bringing back some of the Fox Marvel characters into the fold of the MCU, I'm game. Like, I think the thing is, with Deadpool, it's always just been a fun time for me, and I don't think that's going to change if, like, I'm not going to go into Deadpool and be like, okay, what's the MCU plan? Like, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to watch Deadpool. So I think this is not going to distract from that. I think it's only going to add to it. So at the end of the day, I don't really care. I just question, like, why is Marvel announcing the things that they're announcing when they could just keep... Like, I think the thing that's funny is, like, Marvel historically keeping its mouth shut and stopping actors from saying things and just, like, keeping things on the extreme down low. I feel like that mentality is kind of, like, gone by the wayside, and I'm a little confused as to why. So, that is all I have to say about that. Again, apologies about my chair. As you guys know, it squeaks. I just still haven't got a new one or put any, like, WD-40 on it. So, let's go back. Let's see. Nick says, I really hate the fact that all this Deadpool news is being announced on purpose. Agreed. Really makes me appreciate Sony's No Way Home marketing campaign of just denying. Exactly. Like, this is something, like, I genuinely believe that the marketing campaign for No Way Home should be studied in schools. Like, should be and again, I guess that I know that it's only applicable for, like, movies and whatever, but, like, the hype around that movie was not simply just, oh, it's another Spider-Man movie. Like, there was so much hype, and there was so many rumors, and so many ways, so many, like, massive things were leaked for that movie. And yet you went into that theater still having, like, the slightest little bit of doubt that just made it that much better when it came out on screen. And also, like Nick is saying, when a studio is leaking something to cause press or whatever, but, like, when it's coming out in, like, a Hollywood Reporter piece that Jennifer Garner is going to be in this movie, I'm just confused as to why that's being brought up. Mark says, I'm guessing it's going to be a loose adaptation of Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, but it'll be more like Deadpool Kills the Fox Universe. I guess that's, like, a comic that you're saying there might be adapting. Totally could be true. Okay, Francis, I'm not going to get into the strike thing again. Nick says again, imagine seeing Elektra in Deadpool 3 not having any issues in it. This is the point I was trying to say. Like, these moments that have been the thing that have gone the MCU, that have been the biggest, like, moments in the MCU, have been these things that don't get announced, that people don't really know is coming. Like, again, I take it this way. John Krasinski being announced to be Mr. Fantastic for one movie would not have hit anything. Like, it would have been like, oh, they made a calculated move based on fan activity online. Great. But the fact that you showed up to that theater and had no idea he was going to pop up in that scene, mind-blowing. Like, I will always say it. I screamed. I lost my ever-loving mind when that happened. I really did. I want moments like that, and I understand not being able to hide something like Hugh Jackman, but I still do think that hiding Jennifer Gardner and letting it be if you know, this is what I think. I think announcements like this make me feel like Marvel thinks their audience is getting dumber. Because what this tells me is they want people to go stream Daredevil 2003. They want people to not go in blind to knowing who she is. Rather than being like, we're going to make a creative choice, and if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. Like, that's what bothers me about this. Agreed, Nick. Like, this is one of the coolest announcements. Like, that was an announcement that I think was worth it, because how are you going to hide that? How are you going to hide that? That alone sells the movie. You don't need to give me a trailer. You don't need to tell me who else is in it. I don't need a plot. I don't need directors. Like, I just need to know Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and as Deadpool, respectively. I kind of flipped them there. That they're just going to be there. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. My ticket bought. Done. And so, yeah. Deadpool 3 is the only MCU movie not being delayed. In fact, its release date is getting moved up, which doesn't surprise me because it was probably already in action when all of that stuff was around. And again, that's just why I'm like, wait until like the actual promos for the movie. Like, don't be telling me this now. And then K. Jamie says, blame Ryan Reynolds for the Deadpool leaks. He's giddy about his baby becoming part of Disney and telling him he can do whatever he wants. And like, I get that. Listen, I do love Ryan Reynolds. I'm still gonna go see this movie. I'm just like, why? Like, why are we announcing this stuff? Anyways, again, it just shows that the corporate strategy is different in this new post-Endgame era. And I feel like part of the intrigue that's being lost, I mean, like, a couple people have made some comments in the chat about the Flash flopping. Like, the Michael Keaton stuff, I get that that's, like, a central part of the plot in that film. But, like, again, just imagining how cool it would be if you just showed up to that movie and, like, all of a sudden, like, Michael Keaton is Batman and, like, we're just doing that thing. But, Nick, this is exactly the point, my friend, that I wanted to make. Honestly, if nobody knew who Elektra is, then it's up to good writing to make it work, not announcing she's in the movie while still in production. Exactly. It feels lazy. It feels like a cop-out. It feels like we're not going to properly explain who this character is, where she's been, what's going on. You need to do the work beforehand, and then if you show up and you don't know what's going on, you're the lazy one. Instead of saying, like, we're going to introduce this character in a way that makes sense to you, and you get it or you don't. I don't know, like, that trust of having fans that are gonna get it, it's frustrating to me. It's very frustrating. I hope the cameos we do get serve the story like the ones in Spider-Verse did, and not like the ones in Multiverse Madness. Agreed. Totally ditto. Totally ditto, Nick. Let me move on to my last story, guys, because we're already started sort of, let me speak, hold on one second. We already sort of started to wander into the strike territory, the SAG strike, potentially, whatever. Here's what we've got next. So, Ryan Murphy, the creator behind things such as American Horror Story, American Crime Story, Glee, The Politician, Hollywood, American Horror Stories, which I guess is different. Apparently now there's going to be an American Sports Story. Ryan, buddy, you came up with a really good acronym. You really did. But we could change it. We could change it from time to time, friend. And then, of course, the most recently, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer short series with Evan Peters. Evan Peters being a part of it. So Ryan Murphy, well known. He, for the longest time, had a overall deal with Netflix. And that deal has expired. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know if that is a result of the writer's strike dissolving the overall deal. I don't know if the deal was just getting to the end of term and, like, is done. Do not know. Not at all clear. However, recently he was accused of crossing the picket line. This was actually something I saw maybe a week or 2 weeks ago about Kim Kardashian being like, bored on set of American Crime Story, like, let me know what's going on. And people being like, wait a minute, isn't there a writer's strike going on? Like, Kim, this is kind of a problem. Whatever. Everybody just wants to tear down the Kardashians all the time. I'm not saying they don't deserve it sometimes. I'm just saying, like, that just is always the attitude with them. Despite the fact that we keep them in business. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Point being, she posted from set and people were confused because it's like, what's happening? And so I guess at some point, Ryan Murphy was photographed or pictured actually crossing a picket line, which the whole point of a strike is that there actually have to be people forming a physical line to block entrances to buildings with actual picket signs and whatever. He was photographed, I believe is what this article implies, crossing the line and going into work. Ryan Murphy has always claimed that since he is a multi-hyphenate in terms of show creator, writer, producer, showrunner, director of these episodes, that he is functioning in capacities that are not directly related to writing. So he is not, in fact, breaking the strike rules and guidelines, but he is operating in a different capacity. which is fine. And I think this brings an interesting argument about, do people deserve to act independently of a strike, or do they need to be in solidarity? It's a question. It's a whole question we can go into. However, when all of this was happening, there is a strike captain of the WGA East named, where's his name? Warren Leet. And Warren Leet basically tweeted that Ryan Murphy, hold on, I want to get this correct, that people who do not cross the line in Ryan Murphy land will be blackballed or like blacklisted or just like punished if they don't do what Ryan Murphy says. And Warren Leet seems to be kind of going on the side of like, Ryan Murphy is above the rules. Like, he's acting like he's above this. So now a spokesperson for Murphy comes out and says that these tweets or accusations against him are absolute nonsense and categorically false, which then this led to a little bit of infighting in the WGA, which at a time of a strike that is fighting against something bigger, something larger, a larger issue at hand, this doesn't look good. This looks like petty infighting. It looks like people who don't necessarily know what they want and they can get easily distracted and therefore not as taken seriously in some of these negotiations. So the WGA East officers, now I'm going to quote from the article because this is the part I'm not exactly clear on. They sent a memo about threatened litigation because Ryan Murphy, I think, claimed that he was going to sue this writer, this strike captain. I'm trying to catch up. Sorry, guys. The point being of this, since this is the whole point of this, is to be too long, didn't read. Basically, the strike captain ends up stepping back. They end up stepping back, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure if it's because litigation was brought up. I'm not sure if it's because now he's seen as like the person bringing what am I trying to say? I don't know if it's because he's seen as the person who's like bringing infighting to the strike, distracting from the mission. But now it also seems like, when is someone going to talk about Ryan Murphy? It says when East Coast strike captain, people were pissed. We wanted an explanation and answer about why Warren lost his captain's hat and what happened. He was our leader. So now people are saying that certain writers, because they're bigger names or multi-hyphenates, are getting special treatment. So it's just a lot of complication being added to this situation. Yeah, honestly, the reason I wanted to bring up this story was also then because the article finishes to say that Ryan Murphy is seeking a overall deal with Disney, who owns Hulu and FX. And then, of course, FX on Hulu, where most of Ryan Murphy's stuff premieres anyways. And so it's what I think is interesting about this is I have questioned multiple times if I was someone who was in a position where I had a family that relied on me, if I was a major breadwinner of the family, how awful it is to be in a strike position, because obviously you want to fight for better working conditions for yourself and your field and the people that you work with. However, if it's coming down to your family having enough money for rent, for mortgages, for food, versus crossing a picket line, where does that put you? Now, I think Ryan Murphy is not necessarily the key figure to be put in this. As Not a Newbie Dude says, weird, why does Ryan Murphy have so much power in TV? Ryan Murphy has so much power in TV because he has created some of the biggest hits, some of the biggest moneymakers, and even after, he had the largest overall deal with Netflix, one that ended up causing a lot of controversy when Shonda Rhimes signed with Netflix with an overall deal because she was making less than Ryan Murphy. It called into question equality of the gender pay gap and that sort of thing, which really ended up showing that Ryan Murphy was making a ton of stuff for Netflix, and Shonda Rhimes hadn't made anything until Bridgerton. She has since gone on to, of course, make Bridgerton season 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 is incoming, The Queen Charlotte Show, and Inventing Anna. So, like, all of that stuff was really great for Netflix. So it ended up, I think, nobody started to question it after a while. But Ryan Murphy has a lot of power because he's been paid a lot of money. He's been paid a lot of money. He's created a lot of great hits, and he's won a lot of awards. Pose, a show I didn't even mention before. The man just has a lot of clout in Hollywood because of his professional achievements. And that's that. And so I think it is difficult because if you're in a position where you feel like you're not being paid the same as somebody like Ryan Murphy, who's making $100 million overall deal with Netflix to basically create any kind of content that you want, that the studio is going to accept and pay for and whatever, it is hard to then see that person still being able to profit or work in a time when you are stopped. I get that. I understand that concept. However, I do agree with the concept of like, if you're fighting against something larger, it complicates things if you start to infight and seem to distract from the message. And then Not a Newbie also asked, like, why is 911 starting a new season? I was shocked considering the fact that the strike is happening. It depends. If the 911 scripts were completed beforehand, they have the right to go shoot. Like, the WGA strike only impacts people working in a writing capacity. And so therefore, if Ryan Murphy is claiming that he's working as a producer or a director capacity and not actually writing anything, he's technically not breaking the strike. Obviously, the goal of the strike is to like impact a lot of other things, so that the studios suffer and then end up paying what needs to be paid. It's a very complicated situation, Not a Newbie, and there's people who are breaking the line, but like it's not like a legal thing. It's just it's not like the Writers Guild is then going to be able to come to them and be like, you owe us this money because you made it while we were striking. It's just not how that happens. It is a very complicated issue. Francis, it's not just, you can't just become a producer like that. It's not, we don't need to go into this. Francis, you and I clearly have different opinions on the writer's strike. We don't need to go into that again. We just don't need to go into that. Guys, I think that may end up being our show today. Oh, I said I was going to talk about my reviews of things. So, let's just do a quick little reviews, unless anybody else has anything they want to talk about. I figure I haven't, and I don't plan to make formal reviews. I do have a Mission Impossible review for Dead Reckoning that I'm going to try to get out tonight. I'll be completely honest. It may be tomorrow, but honestly, I really just want to get it off my plate and get it out there. So that's probably going to be tonight, especially because I was supposed to release it a couple days ago, but it's all good. Let's see. So what do we have to talk about? So Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny. Yes, Nick, thank you very much. I'm going to pop you up there so everybody knows what we're talking about. Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny. Very much enjoyed this movie. It was a fun time. It was just fun to watch a movie that was slightly a adventure movie, slightly like a historical piece of fiction. I am a big fan of Harrison Ford, like love Harrison Ford, absolutely love Harrison Ford. I love seeing him in a role that he has embodied for years and years and years. It's just fun. The de-aging that happens in one sequence of the film, I think is kind of scary how good it's getting. I read something today that it took about 3 years to de-age all of that completely, which is basically them saying like, basically saying that Harrison Ford's old and he looks it, which it means true. It was just fun to get to return to these films. I liked Phoebe Waller-Bridge in the film a lot. There is a kid character in the film whose role felt very, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like they got to the end of the film and realized they needed a specific thing to happen for the characters to complete their mission and all that kind of stuff. And it feels like the kid was thrown in there then and written backwards into the film so that he could be there at that one point. I think he was a better kid actor than I've seen in a lot of things recently. Like a lot of things. Like the kid in Black Adam really annoyed me. The kid in Transformers, he was cute. but he had like a much more minimal role. But I think the one burden of having this child character as a part of the film, I can't remember his name, I apologize, is that Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Harrison Ford have this fantastic on-screen like comedy banter kind of chemistry, and not trying to imply romantic chemistry, just saying like their on-screen ability, their interactions on screen are so much fun, and they think they carry the film for the most part. And to be distracted by this like third character that's loosely a backstory device, loosely like a integral plot piece at the end. I say loosely integral, that's such an oxymoron, but excuse me, like it's just, it doesn't necessarily make sense to me, like why he would, I don't know, like it felt like a burden on the film. Personally, I wasn't a fan of that, and that was a little frustrating. But overall, I liked the movie. I would recommend it to anybody who's an overall fan of the Indiana Jones franchise, who's looking for a reason to go get some popcorn and enjoy a movie. So that's Indiana Jones. And then Flash. Nick and I have talked about this at length. I think the more I've thought about this film, some of my rating on it, in terms of the plot making sense, of course, anytime you're dealing with a time travel or multiverse movie, things gonna get pretty crazy pretty fast. There's gonna be some confusing things there. Initially I thought everything made, oh my gosh, excuse me. Initially I thought everything made a whole lot of sense after talking with Nick and hearing some things and kind of rethinking the movie through. I think there's a couple parts of the movie I'm not that clear on, or a couple parts of the movie that I think the movie doesn't explain itself as well as I would have liked it to. Again, not an overall issue with the film, just something I noted. I think it was a good time. The opening sequence, CGI, is truly horrible. And I want to believe that it was a stylistic choice because it's so bad that I, like, have to believe that they weren't, like, trying to make it better. That is up to everyone else's opinion. I ultimately think that the box office flopping of The Flash is because of all of the negative controversy surrounding the film. The fact that it didn't feel like Ezra Miller ended up getting anything more than a slap on the wrist, like still appeared at the premiere. There was not enough press junkets being done for this film, especially when you've already revealed Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Batman to be a part of it. There is something at the end that got me. I liked it. It was fun. It was there. It happened. And I was like, okay, I'm here for this. And I will say, despite anything in real life, I think Ezra Miller's acting skills are phenomenal. To be able to carry not only the key role in this, the main role in this film, but the main supporting role, have them both be the same character but played with different intricacies, different knowledge bases by the same actor, is really incredible. I really enjoyed it. I definitely laughed in this movie, which is something that, like, you don't realize that you haven't laughed in a movie in a while until you get, like, a truly funny movie. And that's how I felt about Flash. It was a good time. I really was going in there dreading seeing it and very much not thinking it was going to be good at all in any way possible, because I think I had seen or heard of early reactions to the film. I'm glad I saw it, but not in a rush to rewatch it. And I do think the disappointing thing is it definitely felt like, well, I won't say it's disappointing. I think there's definitely a sense that it felt like a send-off for a lot of the old guard DCEU, and that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil it. I know the movie's still relatively new and some people may not have seen it. But there's that. So those are my thoughts on Flash. And then the last movie that I've seen recently that I haven't talked about on the channel is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. My husband is a really big Transformers guy, loves them. So when he wanted to go see this, I was like, great, let's go watch it. I had talked to Nick about some things that happened in the film and the end of the film, to some extent before going to see it. So I won't say that anything was taken by surprise. I was just like, again, shocked to see the way that it was executed. The film, and people have commented on my letterbox and been like, you're being way too harsh. I don't care. It's a movie. Like, it's literally not hurting anyone for me to say this. The last time I was that bored in a movie, I think was when I saw Eternals, and I hated it. That's how I felt about Transformers: Rise of the Beast. arguably worse. Like, seeing Transformers: The Rise of the Beast made me think I might want to rewatch Eternals and give it a second shot, because Transformers: Rise of the Beast was just not it. I was bored. After about the first action sequence, and when the second one popped back up, the same lines were being repeated, the same tropes were being repeated. Did not work for me. I liked Pete Davidson as Mirage. I liked most of the voice actors as the Autobots. Peter Dinklage, even as the villain, was pretty funny. The confusing part for me was like, what is the point of having Transformer animals? Confused. Very confused. Also the Optimus Maximal, please. I don't mean to like, I gotta say it. What is his name? The main guy in the film who's from Hamilton and In the Heights. I don't know that he's that good of an actor. I think he just plays the same part every time. Beyond his role in Hamilton, he kind of just plays the same, like, New Yorker guy every movie. And I know he hasn't been in a ton. Anthony Ramos. But he just didn't, like, compel me. I feel like there were things that were supposed to be building up to something else that were kind of sprinkled in there, but, like, kind of half-heartedly, which... like, just commit to it. Like, if you're gonna do the thing that you're claiming you're gonna do by the end of that movie, and anybody who's seen it knows, like, stick to it. Like, go for it. And the last thing I have to say about the movie is just, like, what was the point of Optimus Prime's hate for human beings, yet the entire plot being centered around the fact that you needed a human being to be there for everything? Please, someone explain that to me, because I just don't get it. I don't get it. Anyways, that's all I've got for today's Above the Line, guys. Thank you to all of you who have been here. This has been a great stream. I love talking the stories with you guys. But as I usually am at the end of these streams, my voice is tired. I'm ready to go. I'm glad we got to chat about those quick movies. I also am gonna, like, mute myself and put something else on the screen so that I don't cut myself off mid-sentence like I did last week on the stream. We will be streaming again next Sunday. Gonna figure out a better time. Gonna hopefully be able to promote this more and hopefully be able to not have to delay it again. I think I'm working with some more controlled variables next Sunday, so I'll plan around it. Guys, you'll see some videos from me this week. I'm very excited about some things to come in the coming weeks. Thank you for your ongoing and continued support. And I really appreciate... Whoa, why did, like, 12 messages just pop up? Let's see. Oh, sorry, hold on. Does the Flash give it... I'll just go through these really quick. Does the Flash give a nice ending to the Snyderverse? I'll be honest, I only ever saw the Snyderverse Justice League. Is it a very final nice bow? I don't know that I would call it that. I'd say it's like a farewell, but I don't know that it's what people want. Worse than Eternals, definitely my thoughts on it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for chatting. All right, now I'm going to switch it over to my little, like, see you soon thing. Where is it? I think it's on my D23 one. Hold on. Oh, I've disappeared now. We're just hopping around now. Yeah, I don't know where it was, but bye, guys. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you in the coming video soon. Bye, everyone.